Hey everyone, Ben here. Elon Musk is one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time, and he has been the founder and CEO of many widely successful companies, from PayPal to Tesla. And thanks to all the exuberance behind Tesla stock and Elon Musk's cult-like following, he's actually become the world's richest man, and many shareholders who invested into Tesla stock have actually become multi-millionaires. Or at least made incredible returns. For example, my Tesla position is up by around 400%, but that's nothing to many of you guys who watch this channel. Your Tesla positions are up 800, 900% this year, which is incredibly high. But Tesla's old news. Now it's all about SpaceX, which could be the next major company on the horizon for Elon Musk. So the real question is, could SpaceX, which is a private space exploration company, go public? Could it be majorly successful? And could you guys, as shareholders, be majorly rewarded? So how can you invest? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. I'm going to deep dive into SpaceX as a company, and then I'm going to give you guys 4 ways you can invest into SpaceX before it goes public. But before we dive right in, if you're new around here, why not consider joining the investing family by hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on. And if you do find any value in this video, please give it an early thumbs up. That helps out tremendously with the YouTube AI. With that being said, let's dive in. So what's the competitive advantage of SpaceX, and why could this be a majorly successful company? Well, the first competitive advantage of SpaceX is the fact that this company focuses on reusable rockets. Now, these offer a massive cost saving compared to using these throwaway rockets which NASA used to use traditionally. Thus, this is a major reason NASA did not have a trip for humans planned for Mars, as the cost would be too great, so many programs like this were scrapped by NASA. But SpaceX is not just about pie-in-the-sky opportunities, about going to Mars many years into the future and potentially even colonizing Mars and creating a second Earth.
I think Mars should really have great bars. The Mars bar.
SpaceX has a lot of real-world commercial contracts right now. So the US Space Force announced that it will permit SpaceX to fly reused, or SpaceX prefers flight-proven Falcon 9 rockets to launch the government's next 2 government GPS-free satellites. The government had previously insisted that such national security satellites be launched aboard brand new rockets, but SpaceX has successfully reflown used rockets for other customers 38 times now. But this is where things get really special for SpaceX. So SpaceX had agreed initially to launch these government GPS satellites for about $97 million each. But in return for being permitted to fly reusable rockets, SpaceX now says that it can cut the price it charges Space Force for the next 2 launches by a total of $52.7 million. Now that's a saving of more than $26 million each, as BreakingDefense.com reported. So what's this mean? Well, this is a greater cost reduction of flying these reusable rockets than SpaceX promised over 4 years ago. In fact, this is a reduction in cost by over 40%. Now, Space Force has already committed to awarding 60% of its national security launch contracts to SpaceX Ark rival United Launch Alliance, ULA, over the period from 2022 to 2027, with SpaceX receiving only 40% of these contracts. So this is good news in the short term for Boeing and Lockheed Martin, who are joint owners of ULA.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
For the post-2027, this could mean many contracts will be lost by ULA, as SpaceX will undercut them on their prices, which is more great news for Elon Musk and any of you guys who potentially manage to invest into SpaceX. What about other commercial companies? How does SpaceX compete internationally? Well, firstly, if SpaceX can launch commercial payloads for $36 million each, then ULA won't be able to compete, so they're out of the ball game. Now, $36 million is more expensive than the reported $15 million cost of the expendable Indian PSLV rocket, which is probably the cheapest launch vehicle this side of China. However, the PSLV only has a payload capacity of about 1.8 metric tons to low Earth orbit. Now, this is less than a tenth of the Falcon 9's 22.8 ton payload. So pound for pound, it's clear that nobody on Earth is capable of launching payloads as cheap as SpaceX. This gives SpaceX a unique competitive advantage. But that's not the only business SpaceX has. They're also working on a project called Starlink, a satellite internet constellation with a goal to provide high-speed internet via satellites around the world. This will be most beneficial for people based in rural areas. But in the long term, this would even be disruptive to the entire fiber optic cabling industry, as you will no longer have to dig up the ground, install and maintain this cabling, and then even upgrade it as the technology improves. You can simply access your entire internet from satellites. Now, this could actually fast-track many emerging markets and third-world countries. For example, in many parts of Africa, they did not even go through the fixed telephone line stage that we did in Europe and in the US. They simply skipped that stage and went straight to mobile communications for their internet, for their phone, and for even banking. So this is definitely one to watch, and it's not happening way into the future, it's happening right now. So SpaceX has recently launched 60 new Starlink satellites into space, bringing a total of 950 in low Earth orbit. Now, Richard Branson is working on a similar project, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys compete in the future. But it's clear SpaceX has some strong business opportunities, some strong competitive advantages, and this is all without even going to Mars.
Why do we want to go to Mars? It's uninhabitable.
It's very inhospitable, that's true.
It is. Like, you have to be in, like, domes and everything, and you're just breathing.
Initially domes. Yes.
Really? How long before we could turn Mars into someplace where we could live?
It is a fixer-upper of a planet.
Then if we combine what I call the must factor, this exuberance from retail investors, and the religious-like fanaticism of those who support Elon Musk, then it's clear that if SpaceX went public today, that stock would fly. So here's the question, will SpaceX go public? Well, Elon Musk had some comments on this. So on Twitter, Musk declared, we will probably IPO Starlink, but only several years in the future, when revenue growth is smooth and predictable. The public market does not like erratic cash flow, haha. I'm a huge fan of small retail investors, and we will make sure they get top priority. You can hold me to it. So it's clear Elon Musk has a strong affinity for retail investors. He understands you guys. He really wants to help you guys achieve great investing returns. And this is one of the major reasons why many retail investors do get behind Elon Musk, because he actually seems to care. But also, Elon Musk is known for changing his mind quite often, so it wouldn't surprise me if SpaceX went public earlier. This would be the equivalent of investing into Airbnb or Uber before those companies went public. You've already locked in those gains before they're public. So is there a way to invest into SpaceX before it goes public? Well, I've done a heap load of research. I've done hours and hours of research, and I've found 4 solutions which make it possible to invest into SpaceX. So if you guys appreciate value like this, please give this video an early thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that, and it really helps the channel out a lot. So let's go on to the first method. Now, this is to invest into SpaceX privately. Now, this is an interesting method, but the major issue with this is you have to be an accredited investor. So basically, an accredited investor must earn income exceeding $200,000 in each of the prior 2 years, and reasonably expects the same for the current year, has a net worth of over $1 million, either alone or together with a spouse, excluding the value of the person's primary residence. Now, my guess is most of you guys watching aren't accredited investors and thus don't fit this criteria. So that's why I've researched 3 other potential solutions. So the second solution, which is an indirect way of investing into SpaceX stock right now, is to invest in Baillie Gifford's Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust, SMT, on the London Stock Exchange, this investment fund. Think of these guys like the UK version of Ark Invest. They invest into Tesla extremely early, the same way Cathie Wood did. Now, diving into the top holdings for the Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust, full disclosure, I do have a position in this fund. It's got a fantastic range of companies from Alphabet to Amazon to Tesla. We can see Space Exploration Technologies Corp Series J Preferred and Space Exploration Corp Series N. So these are 2 venture capital private funding rounds which Baillie Gifford entered and invested into SpaceX. So the annoying thing is these only make up 0.4% and 0.3% of the total fund. So if you invested into this fund, only less than 1% of that will go towards SpaceX, but it's still a great fund anyway, and there's lots of great companies in here. So that's one method. Method number 3 will potentially to invest into Google or Alphabet stock. Now, full disclosure, I do have a large position in Alphabet. So Google actually invested into SpaceX very, very early, and they currently own around 7.5% of the company. There's also Fidelity Investments, which have a series of mutual funds with small positions in SpaceX. So we have the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth Fund, that's FBGRX, and the Fidelity Contra Fund, that's FCNTX. They both have positions in SpaceX. Bear in mind, many of these funds do have ongoing charges of a few percent every year. So just be aware of that, guys, when investing into any funds. But here's another potential solution which could come extremely soon. This is option number 4, and this is to invest into Ark Invest's new space exploration ETF. Now, diving into this new fund, which was recently announced by Cathie of Ark Invest, this seeks to provide exposure to companies involved in space-related businesses like reusable rockets, satellites, drones, and other orbital and suborbital aircrafts. These innovations should transform logistics, observation, agriculture, telecom, drones, and may even put humans on Mars. To me, this seems like she's hinting at SpaceX. I'm just saying. Investment focus, reusable rockets, orbital aerospace, talking about Mars. We all know Cathie Wood has a great relationship with Elon Musk. I've seen them on a podcast together. Cathie Wood was one of the original Tesla bulls, one of the major investors into Tesla early on. When everybody was doubting Tesla, Cathie Wood was predicting $10,000 per share. Everybody laughed at her on CNBC, and it's clear that she's been proven right now. So to me, this does seem very interesting. Now, firstly, it must be stated that SpaceX, as it's a private company, is not in this fund or has not been announced for this fund as of yet officially. So at the moment, it is just a rumour. But to me, it does seem likely in the future. And also, I watched an interview of Cathie Wood very recently, and she stated she wanted to give private retail investors like you guys access to private companies early. And she was talking about setting up some sort of fund in order to do this. So perhaps this could be a separate fund or some sort of loophole which Ark Invest comes up with in order to allow you guys to invest into SpaceX. Companies which have currently been officially announced for Ark Space ETF include Iridium Communications Incorporated, AeroVironment, and Virgin Galactic. So overall, this is really interesting stuff, and I think this space ETF is definitely one to watch. But what are your thoughts? What do you think is the best way of investing into SpaceX right now? I've given you 4 options there. Can you think of any better ones? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll join in the discussion. Also, if you guys could invest into SpaceX today, would you? Comment below, I think I know the answer to this one. And if you guys found some value in this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. That helps out tremendously with the YouTube AI. If you're new around here and you still haven't subscribed, why not join the investing family by hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on? And if you guys wish to take things one step further, access my entire investment portfolio, the exact stocks I've been buying, stocks I've been selling, and speak to me directly about your own personal portfolio, then check out that first link in the description below for the VIP membership group, and I'll see you on the other side. With that being said, I hope you guys have a tremendous day, and I'll see you in my next video. Invest safe.